Hello and welcome. My name is Peter Clark. I am the head of computational science and engineering within the therapeutics discovery organization within Janssen R&D. It's my pleasure today to share with you how we are leveraging digital transformation and computational resources to accelerate therapeutic discovery, research, and development. Our mission at Johnson & Johnson is to create a future where disease is a thing of the past, fighting sickness with science, improving access with ingenuity, and healing hopelessness with heart. And towards that end, we are effectively working to accelerate therapeutics discovery process and disrupting on that process using a variety of computational approaches and resources. In my talk today, I'll be describing 3 use cases in which we've leveraged various data as well as models and computational capabilities to drive value across the therapeutic value chain and life cycle. So I'll be touching on how we're leveraging these resources for therapeutic protein design optimization, as well as deep learning methods for lead prioritization and selection. And lastly, in silico molecular optimization engineering using quantum computing resources on Amazon Bracket. And fundamentally critical to all of these is our ability to, first of all, have an adequate data model that captures data across the product lifecycle and integrates these data to inform a lot of these model endpoints and really understand the failure modes in attrition across the product lifecycle. So fundamental to all of these tenets is the underlying data model. And we've effectively worked to create a knowledge graph based data model architecture to effectively unify our data across the product lifecycle, including early R&D data, manufacturing data, as well as clinical data, to inform a lot of these endpoints and further democratize those data to make them accessible to various functions across Janssen R&D. On top of this, we're also leveraging data governance and access to be able to integrate all of these associated metadata and make them visible to the correct functions. And so what this looks like in practice here is we're effectively taking these various building blocks or data blocks from across the product lifecycle, integrating these with controlled vocabulary and ontology, as well as the graph database to be able to not only address the questions that we know today, but answer fundamentally the unknown questions of tomorrow. And towards this end, we're ensuring data capture of things like methods, batches, lots, associated assay data, as well as sample and manufacturing information across modalities and across the product lifecycle. So what this looks like in practice from an architecture standpoint is really is to enable fundamentally all business functions across the organization to operate on a single ground truth source of data and to inform decision making for those functions in real time. With that goal in mind, we have bench scientists who are able to access this platform through UI capabilities, data scientists through Jupyter Lab notebooks, as well as engineers and IT colleagues through the back end to be able to query both through Gremlin queries as well as through natural language queries, access these data, integrate these data to address fundamental questions on the fly. And so we're leveraging or integrating both structured as well as unstructured and semi-structured data from across the product lifecycle and from different functions to unify these data and make them accessible to these various functions. Furthermore, we're leveraging our deep learning models and applications on top of the knowledge graph to effectively inform and accelerate therapeutics discovery. So towards that end, we're leveraging not only these deep learning models, but also high throughput biology, in this case, next generation sequencing data and analyses directly from the wet bench all the way through into the knowledge graph. And so What this allows us to do is effectively take those data, compute in silico attributes, and then leverage these in silico attributes to prioritize therapeutic leads from the protein sequence and structure alone. And effectively, through delivering these in silico assays for lead selection and prioritization, we're able to effectively reduce cycle times, cost, and attrition throughout the drug product development lifecycle through failing much earlier in the development process and selecting those best leads to move forward into downstream development. So taking a click down here on the approach in particular for our lead prioritization, we published a paper in collaboration with Amazon Machine Learning Solutions Lab last month in Nature Scientific Reports, where we detailed how we're leveraging protein sequence and structure to really inform deep learning models that are extensible and generalizable to a variety of prediction tasks. And the power of the language model here is that we're effectively able to learn the large latent space of what it fundamentally means to be a protein. So we've pre-trained this language model on 2.1 billion protein sequences, 393 billion amino acids, to really inform not only what is the sequence, what does it mean to fundamentally be a protein, but also leveraging that structural information, back propagating that into the language model to tune and further boost the predictive power of this model. And so this particular model has been proven to be extremely powerful, not only at predicting intrinsic molecular attributes, but also inform structural features of proteins for classification and for additional tasks. Beyond lead selection and prioritization, we actively explored applications of quantum computing with the Amazon Bracket team. And the problem here is really to optimize that molecular interface between two proteins. And so in this case, as you grow your length, the length of the string of the protein amino acid string, you effectively exponentially increase the number of possible conformations of each of those positions, both in terms of amino acid composition and the rotamer, or the fundamental structure of those and orientation of those side chains. And so as you grow this protein string, you exponentially increase your complexity. And current solvers really only arrive at these kind of local optimum, and aren't able to deliver on the global optimum solution in any reasonable amount of time. So we formulated the problem not only to inform the fitness of the solution, but also to inform the compute time. And so what we found was that we can only really fully embed a 4 amino acid design problem on the existing D-Wave hardware. And for this reason, in order to scale to any kind of reasonable length or real-world problem, we had to devise a method by which to effectively leverage both classical and quantum computing together to accelerate on the compute time as well as deliver the best solution. And so towards this end, we're leveraging various, not only Amazon Bracket, but also S3 as well as EC2 instances to kind of build out this pipeline in a hybrid classical and quantum computing environment to accelerate this molecular design and optimization problem. And what we showed is that for even larger proteins, we're able to arrive at not only the optimum solution, but within a reasonable time. And this is really critically enabling for the field in terms of optimizing the molecular packing and leveraging the promises of quantum computing really to kind of future-proof ourselves in terms of leveraging the quantum advantage here for molecular design and optimization tasks. In summary, how we're disrupting the therapeutics discovery process with digital innovation is threefold, and leveraging computational capabilities and infrastructure to really drive significant value and innovation across the value chain. What this looks like is leveraging the knowledge graph data model architecture to effectively democratize data across the organization, make it accessible to folks when they need it, and really build and leverage that institutional knowledge across the organization. This is further accelerated by computational advancements in deep learning that allow us to inform and really deliver on lead prioritization, therapeutic lead prioritization and selection, as well as quantum computing to solve previously unsolvable problems and really accelerate on molecular design and optimization. With that, thank you.